Hello everyone, welcome back to Changfied YouTube channel, your trusted source for latest subjects across South Sudan and beyond. Today we have two major developments coming out of South Sudan that are drawing attention both inside the country and around the world. First, the special court handling the case of Dr. Machar, the suspended first vice president of the country, has moved into another important stage of the trial. A digital forensic expert has taken the stand, and lawyers are now questioning him about the key electronic evidence connected to the Nasser incident. Second, the government of South Sudan has strongly rejected a new report from the United Nations Human Rights Council saying the report is unfair and biased against the country. The report accuses political and military leaders of weakening the peace agreement and putting civilians at risk. But the government say the report ignores the progress that has already been made. So what exactly is happening in the court case? What evidence is being discussed, and why is the government angry about the United Nations report? Before we move on, please, I would like you to help the channel by subscribing and turn on the notification bell so whenever we upload a new video, you can be notified. The special court handling the case of Dr. Machar held its 57th session on Friday. During the session, the court began questioning its final witness from the prosecution side. This witness is a digital forensic expert from South Africa. His name is Peter Calvin Rafadi. He was called to explain electronic evidence collected from phone and other digital evidences. These devices are believed to contain information that prosecutors said is connected to the Nasser attack. This stage of the trial is called cross-examination. Cross-examination is when the defense lawyer questions a witness to test their knowledge, their experience, and the reliability of their evidence. The lead defense lawyer, Gary Raimondo Lake, asked the expert several questions about his background. Gary Raimondo, the defense lawyer, wanted to know if he had the experience needed to present digital evidence in such serious cases. Rafadi told the court that he studied cybersecurity and hold an advanced diploma from Asset College in Australia. He also said he completed several short professional courses related to forensics investigation. According to him, he has already worked on a few criminal cases in South Africa. These cases involved evidence taken from mobile phones and computers. However, when the court asked him about those cases, Peter Calvin Rafadi said he could not remember the names of the people involved. He only remembered the year. He said one case happened in 2024 and another case took place about 4 years earlier. Peter Calvin Rafadi also told the court that this is the first time he has testified before an international court. Before this case, he had only appeared in local court in South Africa. This detail became an important point during the questioning. Defense lawyers tried to show that Peter Calvin might not have enough experience dealing with complex international trial. However, Peter Calvin Rafadi insists that his skill in digital forensic remains the same regardless of where the case is headed. Another important issue raised during the court session was the accreditation of forensic laboratories. The defense lawyer asked Rafadi whether the laboratory he used to analyze the digital evidence was officially recognized. Rafadi explained that the software tool he used for digital investigation are accredited and licensed. However, he also says something interesting. According to him, South Africa does not officially accredit a private digital forensic laboratories. Instead, the government focuses on licensing the investigative tool used in these laboratories. This means the technology is certified, but the private lab themselves are not formally accredited by the government. During the cross-examination, the defense lawyer also asked about raw data taken from the devices. Raw data means the complete original information extracted from phone, computer, or other devices. The expert admitted that the full raw extraction data was not presented in court. However, he said the information submitted to the court represent what he called a bit-to-bit extraction. This means the relevant data presented in the court was copied exactly from the original device without being changed. Still, the defense lawyer raised concern about whether the court has seen the complete digital evidence. The defense lawyer also asked Rafadi about who authorized him to conduct the investigation. They want to know whether he received official permission from the government of South Sudan. Peter Calvin Rafadi explained that he received a formal letter addressed to him personally. This letter was submitted to the court and recorded as document 9G. According to Rafadi, this letter gave him the authority to analyze the digital devices connected to the investigation. During the hearing, the defense lawyer also brought up past accusation made against Rafadi in South Africa. In those accusations, some people claim that he tampered with mobile phone during another investigation. Peter Calvin Rafadi strongly rejected those claims. He told the court that the accusations were not true and had no evidence. He also said he worked closely with law enforcement agencies and follow professional standards when handling digital evidence. To support his statement, Rafadi submitted document and his professional resume to the court. Now let's look at the charges in this case. Dr. Machar, who is 70-year-old, is facing serious accusation, is being tried together with 7 other defendants. The charges include murder, conspiracy, terrorism, treason, destruction of public property, crime against humanity. These are some of the most serious crimes under international law. Of course, Dr. Machar party rejected all this. Prosecutors say the charges are connected to the Nasser incident that happened in March 2025. According to prosecutor, was linked to SPLA-IO together with fighter known as the Norway Army attacked a military base. The base was located in Nasser in Upper Nile State. Prosecutors say the attack killed 257 soldiers from the South Sudan People Defense Forces. Among those killed was a military commander named David Majuta. The attack also reportedly destroyed or captured military equipment worth around $58 million. At the moment, Dr. Machar is being held under house arrest. The other defendants in the case are being held at detention facilities run by National Security Service in Juba. The trial is expected to continue as the court finishes hearing testimony and reviewing evidence. While the trial continues, another major story is developing. The government of South Sudan has strongly rejected a report released by the United Nations Human Rights Council. The report was presented during a meeting in Geneva. According to the report, political and military leaders in South Sudan are weakening the 2018 peace agreement that was signed by Dr. Machar and Kiir. The report says these actions are putting civilians at risk of renewed conflict. The United Nations report also raised concern about airstrike carried out by South Sudan People Defense Forces. It claimed these airstrikes were supported by force from Uganda. According to the report, the number of bombing has reached level not seen since the war before South Sudan became independent. Some attacks reportedly targeted areas that the government considered hostile, and these places are inhabited by the Nuer community. The report claimed these areas include civilian home, hospital, and opposition locations. The report also repeated earlier claim made in September 2025. Those claims accuse senior officials of large-scale corruption under President Salva Kiir Mayardit. According to the report, corruption is weakening government of South Sudan or government institution and taking money from national development. In this report, government responds. The government strongly disagree with these accusations. The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Michael McQuillis, rejected the report completely. He stated that the report presents a one-sided story and does not fairly describe what is happening in the country. According to the Minister Michael McQuillis, the report relies too much on information from social media instead of verified fact. Minister Michael McQuillis said the report ignores the progress made since the peace agreement. He said the government has been working to stabilize the country and move forward with peace. In his word, the commission has not been fair or honest in describing the situation in South Sudan. The minister also made another serious accusation. He claimed the United Nations Commission is interfering in the peace process. According to him, the commission is supporting a splinter group that oppose the government. Michael McQuillis said United Nations Commission is supporting SPLMIO parties. Because of this, he said the commission's report cannot be trusted. Despite the disagreement, the UN Commission has called for several actions, and these include stopping all fighting immediately, fully implementing the peace agreement, respecting international law, and protecting civilians. The Commission say these steps are necessary to prevent another major conflict. These two stories, the trial and the UN report, are deeply connected to the future of South Sudan. The country has faced many years of conflict and political tension. Many people inside and outside the country are hoping for lasting peace and stability, but challenges remain. The court case involving first by President Dr. Machar could take more time before a final decision is reached. The court still needs to review all the evidence and hear arguments from both sides. At the same time, international pressure may continue as the UN and other organizations monitor the situation. The coming month could be very important for the political future of South Sudan. The outcome of the trial and the international response to the UN report may influence the country path toward peace. For many citizens, the biggest hope is simple: a stable country, peace between political leaders, and a better future for the next generation. If you are new to Changfied YouTube channel, please I would like you to help the channel by subscribing and turn on the notification bell, so whenever we upload a new video, you can be notified. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.